And we are live, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to call the meeting to order for the Economic Development, Tourism, and Event Management for today, April 20th. We have some that are joining us hybrid. We have some in person. I'm going to ask for an approval of our agenda.
Moved.
Just one thing, Madam Chair, if we could add on, and that is just to provide an updated consumer price index update as to today's date with the publication from Saltscapes. If you wish, we can add that just for a point of information.
Sure. We'll have that under maybe point F.
Sure. Yep.
Could you vote?
Okay.
Could we get an update on the Indigenous crosswalk?
Yeah.
Is that all right, Wayne? Laurel?
With that,
yeah, I actually have it, Your Worship, as part of my just tourism and culture report, so we can just leave it there if you're okay with that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I need a seconder. Councillor Cody or Tweel, one of you good to
Yes.
second this? Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, any declarations of conflict of interest?
None.
See that? I need an approval of our minutes for March 23rd.
Good.
Good. Seconder, I'm assuming Councillor Cody. Any business arising from our minute? No? Okay, hearing none. We'll move right into reports. And Wayne, if you're prepared, we'll start with development report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few quick highlights, keeping in mind that it's not a full month since we last met, and we had Easter break in here as well. A few economic development highlights. Partner collaboration continues to be ongoing. I'm not going to go through the list of partners. We all know who they are. We do have an upcoming session soon with Innovation PEI and the team over at Innovation PEI. Just waiting for a date on that particular meeting. You may have noticed or seen in the media that YYG Charlottetown Airport is starting to go through some renovations. This is as a result of federal funding that they've received in two envelopes. In May of 2021, they received $1.5 million, and then in March of 2022, another $1.4 million from the Government of Canada through the Airport Capital Assistance Program. So some good capital projects and/or otherwise for our airport here in the capital city. I circulated to the committee recently a great interview that was on the future economy. The focus was on Amstead Rail, manufacturing rail components here in the capital city, highlighting their presence here and many good things they had to say about opening up an expansion opportunity here in Charlottetown. If you haven't had the opportunity to view it yet, I encourage you to do so, and that should be in your inbox. If for some reason you don't have that, just let me know and I'd be happy to recirculate. Just recently, the Chamber Awards were held. Some of you on the call today participated. Others participated virtually. Just a shout out to all of the nominees and winners, and kudos to the Chamber on the great work and job that they've been doing. There's a number of annual general meetings happening with partner organizations. Recently, Downtown Charlottetown Inc. had their annual AGM. We are just trying to resecure a time with Don Allen to come present to our committee kind of an update on the downtown and where things are currently at. It may be June or July before our schedules will align, but that is on the radar. We had hoped that she would have been able to join today, but due to schedule conflicts, we couldn't make that work. Coming up soon is YYG Charlottetown Airport, as well as the Greater Area Charlottetown Chamber of Commerce. Both will hold their annual general meetings on May 2nd and 3rd, respectively. So that's on the horizon. And then finally, under economic development, at the May meeting, URSA will be our guest and will present on their organization and where things are currently at with respect to immigration and their files at large. So that's a quick overview of economic development, unless Peter has something else to add.
No, I'm good, Madam Chair.
Mr. Kelly?
No,
You're good. Thank you. Thank you. Would there be any questions on Wayne's report on economic development? Thank you. Thank you, Wayne, for that. The second item on our agenda is the tourism and cultural report, Laurel.
Okay, so with the change of season, tourism has moved into high gear and our focus has shifted entirely into the summer. We're working on getting the Visitor Information Center cleaned up right now and restocked for the first cruise ship, which we'll be welcoming on Friday. And I know that Mayor Brown is going to be participating in that welcome on Friday morning. It's the first cruise ship back, but it's also an inaugural visit for the Viking Octantis. So it's a double whammy on Friday, and it'll be good to see those passengers back in the city. We do still have water and sewer staff that are currently using the visitor information counter just because of the project that's going on, but I believe they're working on that transition right now to make sure that we have the center back for Friday. We're also working with HR on our summer staffing. So we do have 2 staff who have confirmed they're returning, and then we'll hire 1 to 2 additional summer staff for visitor information services. We've also wrapped up our coding process for all of our summer event services. We've also awarded all of the contracts. We have definitely seen the impacts of inflation on the contracts this year. Everything has pretty much increased about 15% across the board. So I'm sure that's something that's being felt across the corporation. We received confirmation of funding from the Department of Canadian Heritage for our Canada Day celebrations. So planning for that event is now underway, including some consultation with our underrepresented communities to see how they can better be reflected in our programming. It is our plan right now to return the event to Victoria Park, where it would have been held pre-pandemic, and it is also our plan to have a fireworks display again. So fingers crossed everything can happen the way that we think it's going to roll out. Charlotte is currently leading the development of our Communities in Bloom profile, which is a very large undertaking. I'll remind the committee that we have re-entered an adjudicated category this year with Communities in Bloom. So there'll be national judges in the city from July 14th to 16th conducting their evaluation. So our team will make sure that we're communicating with relevant departments to ensure that the city is in tip-top shape for their visit. And then she's also let me know that planning will begin soon on the Make Our Hometown Beautiful program. And she has indicated that the department leads that were involved in the program last year will be invited back to help shape the program for this year. The Saltscapes East Coast Expo was held a couple of weekends ago in Halifax for the first time since 2019. Charlottetown was very well represented on the Expo floor. I want to give special thanks to our friends at Discover Charlottetown for their leadership on that file, both this year and in previous years. On the cultural front, the Arts Advisory Board is thrilled that the city will be hosting Festival Inspire from July 18th to 23rd. So you'll probably recall that I first introduced this project, I believe, at last month's meeting. It has now been publicly announced. So we've gone through the process of, for the mural creation portion of the event, we've identified 15 walls within the 500 lot area, and the festival has narrowed that back down to 5. We anticipate that 3 to 4 of them will end up being painted during the festival. Because everything is in the 500 lot, the approval process for that artwork will start with the Arts Advisory Board, and if it's endorsed at the Arts Advisory Board, it'll go through to Planning Board, and that will include a letter going to all building owners within a 100-meter radius of the mural, so that they'll have a 2-week period to comment on it. And then if it is endorsed at Planning Board, it will go to the council floor. So we'll see that artwork in advance of it actually going onto the walls. There is one city property that has been identified, and it's Fire Station number 1. So it's the wall that is directly adjacent to the Rod Charlottetown parking lot. So Peter's working right now just to determine with the deputy chief and also with Public Works to make sure that they're on board with that and that there's no maintenance scheduled for that particular wall that would impede our ability to use that. So again, any artwork that is confirmed will go through council. We're aiming for the June meeting right now. We've also started an exploratory process with Public Works for another potential public art component in one of their upcoming projects. It's still very early in the conversations. Our first meeting with Scott Adams is actually tomorrow, so I'll share more detail when it is known and if that project actually ends up proceeding. And then lastly, as Mayor Brown had indicated when we were approving the agenda. You'll recall that we were discussing the creation of an Indigenous crosswalk in the area that the John A. statue used to reside. We were discussing that last summer and fall. So Doug Dumais in the mayor's office has been the lead on the file. And last fall, there was an independent donation of just over $4,000 that was offered to the city for a reconciliation project. There was members of the Indigenous community that participated in that check presentation. And during that presentation, they did indicate that consultation with the Indigenous community should take place about what that reconciliation project may look like. I understand from Doug that the donation is still earmarked for the crosswalk, but the group hasn't transferred that money to the city. They'd like to wait until after that consultation has taken place and the project is a bit more concrete. But Doug's recommendation for next steps is that we consult with Chiefs Gould and Bernard about the future of the crosswalk project and determine what the path forward for that could be. And perhaps it could simply be obtaining a list of endorsed Indigenous artists that we could approach to begin the process for designing that crosswalk. So that's everything that I have, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I just have, before anybody asks a question, when we're talking about the art policy, Peter, I know Councillor Yankoff had put out looking for clarification around an art policy or something we have within our city, that new builds and stuff are supposed to have a certain percentage designated. Are we using that policy all the time, Laurel, or is that something we need to go back and be reminded of?
So there is a sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Peter.
No, there is a 1% allocation under the capital programs. It has not been fully implemented in the past. Both the staff from events and tourism have reminded us that is there and we should be using that, and so we will try to be more mindful of that as we move forward. Great,
good to hear. I think that will help us with some of our goals. That was my clarification. Did you have any more questions on? And I know at that presentation that Chief Gould was very strongly indicating that consultation happened before we decided on anything what we thought needed to happen.
But not only the consultation, but to assign an artist, an Indigenous artist, to be part of the.
Well, did they even agree to a crosswalk yet?
Oh yeah.
Oh, they have.
Oh yeah, that is no problem. But to bring them in, Chief Junior Gould and Chief Darlene Bernard will be very, I think, very welcomed by both. But just getting back to the public art, it is in the policy. I have the policy here, and I did speak to Kim Devine, and Wayne, you would have remembered, Kim was on council when this was approved or adopted. Actually, it was actually created and then adopted by council. I did get clarification on the 1% of the cost of appropriate city capital projects to the creation and installation of public art. So if you build a fire station, that's not a public facility per se. People don't go in there to visit and see what's going on. Or a public works garage, that's not a public facility. But the new arena, the new Aqua Arena facility, that is a public place. So that project is $26 million. So off that budget, $260,000 should be set aside as our 1%. So I think we have to incorporate that, and that could be part of creating that installation of a wall of memories to celebrate the contribution of the Simmons family, all the minor hockey activities that took place in that arena since 1972. So that is here, and it was adopted and passed by council in 2006. So I was on council along with Councillor Tweel when we adopted this and put it into work.
Yeah, and Your Worship, that was our interpretation as well, that appropriate city projects would be public-facing buildings or projects that the public actually interacts with. So I think everybody is on the same page, and we've been a little bit more aggressive in reminding departments that are responsible for certain projects that that policy does exist and that we need to be budgeting for it on the front end instead of trying to figure out how we're coming up with it on the back end. So
if I could just say, Madam Chair, so I think we have to send a notification to Parks Recreation that the 1% will have to be part of the budgetary process for this new Aqua Arena facility.
We
And then
have
we-
sent that in writing to the manager of Parks and Recreation
Oh.
last fall.
Oh, did you?
So, yeah,
Oh.
so he is aware.
We'll just stay on it for sure. Thank you. Councillor Twill, Councillor Cody, any questions for Laurel?
No.
No?
I'm good.
Okay.
Madam Chair, can I just ask, before we wrap up this, Laurel or Peter, the art itself, so we reminded another city department, but there's still a process. It's not just about saying there's a piece of art. The art has to be approved or endorsed by the Arts Advisory Committee. What's the protocol for that creation of that art?
So the protocol is we actually are supposed to do a public call for an artist. If the city is investing money into public art, we're supposed to do an open call, and that open call would be developed through the Arts Advisory Board. There is obviously an opportunity for council or the department that's leading the project to participate in coming up with a concept for what that could look like or what the location actually is. It also doesn't necessarily have to be fully spent at the arena. You will recall during the presentation of the public art plan that the consultants did recommend that we could have a reserve fund for public art, that if we didn't fully expend the budgeted amount, the balance could go into a reserve fund for another project or for a larger project down the road. So it is pretty clearly outlined in the public art policy what the public call process is, but that is where we would start.
Yeah. Wayne, it's section 4. Council recognizes the importance of public art to the quality of life in Charlottetown, in both public and private buildings, and council will allocate at least 1% of the cost of appropriate city capital projects to the creation and installation of public art as part of such municipal projects, and will recommend private sector developers to also contribute. But right now, our responsibility is the city corporation. So I just want to make sure that we do follow up. Laurel, just on Communities in Bloom, what about Keep Our Hometown Beautiful program? Is that still going out? So that's going to be...
I included that in my update. So Charlotte has indicated that she intends to reach out to the department leads that were involved last year, next week or so, and she's going to bring everyone back together to determine what that program looks like this year.
Thank you.
Yep, perfect.
Your Worship,
Thank
just
you.
on that, sorry, one other quick item related to this too, Your Worship and Laurel. Don't forget that 2022 is Year of the Garden. There's been lots of good publication around that. Your Worship, we did issue a challenge to other municipalities through a campaign that our communications team had executed. And to date, no one else has accepted the challenge. The national organization is wondering if we can ramp up our challenge, perhaps through PIFCM or another platform from yourself, to challenge other island municipalities to join in and celebrate Year of the Garden.
So the FPEIM semi-annual or annual meeting is coming up Monday.
Okay.
So if you want to hear something, a resolution, I'll put it on the floor.
Okay. Laura, would you be able to work with Doug on that? Or Charlotte? Charlotte's leading Year of the Garden, so we want to have
I can get Charlotte to work with
from the mayor. Perfect time, Your Worship, to do that.
And in Wayne, there's also this year's the Queen's Jubilee, 70 years.
It is.
There's a celebration going on there with gardens also, so you may want to pull in Sharon Larder. I know Doug DeMay's already spoken to her.
Okay.
She's with the Friends of the Farm.
Yeah. Okay. Laura, will you let Charlotte know that? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. So Wayne, you're on for C, D, and E, which is event management, the booked convention list, and the Adrenaline Spring. So I'm just going to let you speak, and you can just introduce each new topic so that we're all following along.
Yep. Perfect. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a number of things to highlight under event management. Obviously, I can't go into everything, but I'll give you some highlighted areas. I've been participating in a number of attraction and development missions across the country, either solely through the city or through many of our partners on trips or missions that we've been on and or are upcoming. A couple of items that I would like to highlight in here is of points of interest is that we probably had 4 to 5 national conferences through various city departments that align with various city departments that we're looking to bid on as we speak right now, either directly through the city and or in partnership with Meetings and Conventions, PEI. I won't list all of them today because we're still in the bidding stage, so there's a confidential piece to that. But if you would like to know more on this, happy to share a discussion offline until we come to the stage where we actually are in the competitive process. But that would be 4 or 5 great events associated with various city departments. And not only does it bring economic and tourism prosperity to our city, but it helps our departments be highlighted and elevate and professionally develop, as well as the small municipalities. So we're looking forward to that. And the other item is, try to say this humbly without tooting our own horns, but I think it's important. I may have mentioned this to the committee before, but Charlottetown is often looked at as a best practice entity or a leader in event tourism. So it could be meetings and conventions, festivals and events, sport tourism, etc. And as an example, in the last 2 weeks alone, I've dealt with 3 municipalities across the country who've contacted us to ask us for our recipe for success. And so we should take pride in knowing that. Again, it's not about Charlottetown here. I just think we should be proud of our achievements, and that others recognize that and reach out to us in terms of how to position themselves as a lucrative player in the event tourism world. So just to mention of that quickly. Recently, the Sport PEI annual awards were held. I mentioned it at last month's meeting, so I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but SCORE, through our sport tourism initiative, was the presenting partner. We're happy to be able to partner with Sport PEI to deliver those awards, but not only to deliver them, but to deliver them in a unique kind of setting. The last 2 years, the event was held on the main stage at Confederation Center of the Arts. His Worship was heavily involved, having an opportunity to address the audience as well as present the SCORE event of the year. And I think that it's great for us, and we want to congratulate all the nominees and winners, as well as the Sport PEI administrative staff for the hard work and efforts that they put into organizing this event. So just a brief mention of that. Through the PEI Events Innovation Fund, the Government of Canada has recently announced an investment of $767,000 and $500, $676,500. A number of our events here in Charlottetown are able to access this fund, which is administered through TIPI. It is a COA funding. It's a flow through TIPI to help them manage some of the smaller applications. So we're pleased about the announcement, as well as the opportunity for Charlottetown events to access some of this funding. Work continues on a couple of strategies. Sport tourism vision for growth for 2022-2025. GM Event Inc. Is currently conducting that particular work, which will take us over the next 3 years at stage 5 of our process with that organization. And then the Eastlink Center, as a sport and entertainment operation, recently unveiled their strat plan for 2020 through 2025. Both of these strategies will upload into the city's strategic plan OP process moving forward, and it's just another good guide for us in terms of accomplishment and growth moving forward. Canada Games is a busy file on so many fronts. Lots happening on our end. I reported last month where I recently participated in a best practices winter celebrations initiative with staff from the Games in Quebec. Our infrastructure projects are well underway at Eastlink Center and Bell Line Center. You can see these coming to life every day. Lots of positive comments on that. The Cultural Festival on the waterfront continues to evolve. We're working very closely with them on a regular basis. Test events are starting to happen now, so we secured a number of test sport events that can be used as test events for the games. So last weekend we had an archery event. We'll have a table tennis event coming here in the spring, along with a number of other events. So we're quite pleased about that. Currently in discussions with Advent Atlantic about bringing their board retreat back to Charlottetown this spring. We bid on it, and we're fortunate to host it the past couple of years as a vibrant event destination. So we hope to be able to close that agreement here in the near future. It's been busy with event hosting. We saw last month the return of a number of national events. Just last weekend, we hosted the Youth Pan Am Archery Championship Selection Camp, which was at the Trade Center at Eastlink Center, a great event. The Etsy Market, Etsy PEI and Etsy New Brunswick had a beautiful spring market in the entire space at the convention center in the ballroom, all ballrooms last weekend. A great crowd of people around supporting our artists, which was wonderful to see. The Setting Day Culinary and Music Festival will come up here soon in later this month, early May. A great event with most of the activity in Charlottetown. Some great culinary events, some amazing concerts at I think it's St. Peter's or St. Paul's or St. Peter's, Laurel.
It's Zion.
Or Zion?
I think it might be Zion.
Could be Zion. It's one of the churches in the downtown. I just don't have the file in front of me now, but a great array of activities if you have the opportunity to attend any of the events. Coming up is Andrew's Growth Hockey Program's Oyster Cup, which is a large spring hockey tournament. And of course, our hometown Islanders are soon on the eve of entering the playoff run. We hope to see great things from our hometown team, who's performed very well this year, highly ranked. Looking forward to that. As Laurel indicated, we recently announced the Inspire Festival. We're very busy working with city departments with respect to operation plans for numerous events that are going to roll out this summer across the city. It's a huge undertaking and one that oftentimes gets overlooked unless you're directly involved with the event. A lot of effort by city departments to make events happen, and we're thankful for the efforts of all departments, and we'll continue to work with them to ensure events are executed seamlessly. And then finally, a couple of highlight projects that we're working on. The Mayor's Cup committee has commenced meetings again for the Mayor's Cup, which will be this coming fall. I believe it's September the 10th. Is that correct, Laurel, or your worship?
Aye.
If it is, yeah.
Yeah, I believe it's September the 10th. Your worship, as a point of interest, the Chamber Golf Tournament was scheduled to be on that exact day at Fox Meadows, so we've been in communication with the Chamber with the hopes that they would consider moving their event, given that we're open for registration, and the Mayor's Cup is always on the I think it's the second Friday of the month. So we're working with them on that. And then finally, our team are in the stages of planning to be at FCM with the Birthplace of Confederation booth. We had some credits from previous years due to the pandemic. We've applied those and registered other elements, and so we're working to ensure that we have a strong presence in Regina as a part of that event. So that's a few quick highlights. Is there any questions before I move on to reports?
I think you're good.
You good? Okay. I just have two reports, Madam Chair, and both are simply information sharing, yet I think they're relevant and important to the committee. The first one is the 2022 Meetings Conventions PEI booked convention list. It's a master list of events between now and year end. It's important to note that this list will continue to grow and alter. And I don't like to say this, but as always, there's the risk in changing CPHO recommendations and/or restrictions, and we'll continue to move with the times. But it looks very positive for the return of the convention sector. Our friends and partners at Meetings Conventions PEI, whom we work closely with, have done a great job to ensure that we recapture business as well as capitalize on this lucrative market. Any of them that just say Charlottetown the easiest way, you can see which ones are in Charlottetown. So you have a minute, just peruse the list. It's quite impressive. Any questions on that particular item?
I'm just looking at this Ford Inc. Electric. Is that? It's not clear on my digital copy here. Is that Central? It's the 6th of June.
Let me just wait 1 second.
Maritime Conference.
It is Central.
Oh yeah, I see. There's kind of a line gone through that, Your Worship. Yeah, it's the Maritime. It's the Atlantic Division. So it's the 4 Atlantic provinces.
Right. So where is it held at?
Say that
Central
again.
Where will it be held at?
Central. Central could mean that it's based out of Charlottetown, but some activities may happen outside the city.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do they invite the city or any reps to it? Or is that just for the board?
Well, I'm guessing that it's the board by looking at it, but oftentimes with many of these conferences, Your Worship, sometimes they'll reach out for greetings from the city, or they'll ask for guest speaker gifts or other elements. If you want us to inquire specifically, I'm certainly willing to do that.
Could you please? Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of planned redevelopment for their site down there
Yeah.
on Grafton Street East. And I would assume that it's just for the shareholders
Right.
and management. That's the only one I'm looking at.
Yep.
Thank you.
We'll inquire and come back to you on that particular item. The second item is the Adrenaline Spring Edition, Spring 2022. The Adrenaline magazine is a sport tourism. It's a national sport tourism magazine. Normally it would be in hard copy, but due to the pandemic, they've done a digital version. But at the request of some committee members, in the past, we've printed a package here in your package for viewing. A couple of things I would highlight beyond the overall magazine itself is that they've mentioned a bit of a piece on the Simmons build in Charlottetown and the positivities associated with that. We also have a score ad in the magazine, which we typically do. And there's a number of other good news stories. One of them could be of interest to some here is the Canada Games happening in Niagara Falls, the Niagara region, I should say, this coming summer. But some good reading here. And I encourage you to take a look at the two items that I mentioned for sure. And unless there's any questions, I don't have much more to add beyond that. It's just information sharing.
So, Wayne, I do have a question on page 22 of that document. It's regarding tennis and Rogers Communications.
Yep.
Providing funds for indoor facilities. You're aware that come September, the spa will be closed to their indoor tennis facility along with the pool.
Correct.
And Bob Goller is with the Charlottetown Racket Club, so they're out, trying to rally some support. And so you may get a call from the Charlottetown Racket Club about where the city could be a partner or help out.
Sure. I've already, Your Worship, just as a point of interest, have been in communication with Mr. Gawler, is it? Gawler?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
So I've been in communication with him already. He's going to come back to me further. He's looking to secure some information and evidence based around sport tourism and the ability to not only have a vibrant racket club in your city, but to draw in prosperity as well. So we have connected, communicated, and I'm just waiting on him for additional information, and then I will provide as required.
And then on page 27 it talks about sea and green, and I was watching the game the other night with Seattle. They're in the new Climate Pledge Arena, which is in Seattle.
Seattle Kraken,
Yeah.
Sure. The Kraken.
Yeah. So that is a green facility. I know we've had some discussion about the new Aqua Arena facility, but we've taken on that green feel, that green responsibility.
Yeah.
So it's something that we can tie into by referring to a bigger facility such as the climate change arena. And the last point is the Jeux de Canada d'été 2022 in Niagara. Are we going up? Are we sending up some reps?
I'm going.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Good.
Julie will be there, and it would be. I typically go to the event not just because it's Canada Games. It's a platform for us to secure other events because all the decision makers and bodies are in one location. So our chair and myself will be there this coming summer.
Perfect. Thank you.
Questions from Deputy Mayor Cody or Councillor Tweel? Okay.
I'm okay, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Mr. Kelly, you would like to provide update on the index.
Yes, Madam Chair. Today, the StatsCan did release the CPI for the country at 6.7% for March, and for Prince of Island, it's 8.9%. So substantially higher. It's the highest in the country on a provincial basis, and it's here for a point of information.
Wow. That's great. Thank you. Any questions for our CAO? Well, is there any introduction of any new business other than what we've added already?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a very good, I guess,
36 minutes, Madam Chair.
well, and that's
36
okay. It's
minutes.
because we're very efficient
Well,
and
no,
because we're kept abreast all along. Great
Yeah.
stuff.
And Madam Chair, just a reminder, we were to have a guest speaker today and it didn't work out, so that's why we have a bit of a gap as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Seconded by Councillor Tweel. All those in favor?